The information technology and management programs started as literally just that, as a degree program. It grew out of a program that we'd offered in information technology as a non-degree, non-credit program. And we realized that there was a legitimate, genuine academic need for a degree program in the field of information technology. We're different than computer science because computer science principally concerns itself with code. Algorithms, actually, one of the definitions of computer science is the study of algorithms. So that's one of the things that some people will bring up as you say, well, what's computer science really about? Whereas information technology is far more practical. It's far more oriented to applying computing in real life. Our quick definition that we use when people say, well, what do you mean by information technology? We tell people, well, it's about providing technology solutions to business problems. Okay? So every business has problems, and we know that a lot of problems businesses have today are resolved by the application of computers and computer technology. People in IT are the people who do that. Okay, that's what people in this field do. It has a broader range of subfields, I think, than computer science. It has networking, system administration, database administration, business application development, web application development. Certainly, cybersecurity is a critical piece, but the core of a lot of cybersecurity efforts require a great deal of knowledge of information technology rather than just knowledge that you would find in a computer science program. So we are distinctly different than computer science. That's what people always wonder, well, why IT? Would I want to do that? Because our program is specifically very much applied and hands-on. Computer science is fundamentally theoretical. And it does create a substantial difference in how we approach things. We spend a lot of time with projects and teaching people to actually do hands-on things because that's what a lot of solutions for business problems require, that you be able to get in there and do hands-on things. And one of the very first projects that students do as they move through our curriculum is in their third semester. We have students in my class take a small business with a very antiquated information system and completely redesign the information systems for the organization. We do this so people get started to think about the fact that ultimately their responsibility as an information technology professional is being able to provide those resources in a business environment and ensure that they have the necessary technological and computing resources to, and we used to use, when I first started in the business, we used to use the word support. Computers support a business. We don't anymore. We use the word facilitate. Computers facilitate a business. Because if the computers go down in many businesses, you just shut the lights out and everybody goes home because no one can do anything. So that's the term we use, computers facilitate business. So in our curriculum, we have, of course, 2 undergraduate curriculums, and I don't know which one each of you is in. Some of you may be in the Bachelor of Science in Applied Cybersecurity and Information Technology, and some of you are just in the Bachelor of Information Technology and Management. Both curricula have the same start. So effectively, for most of the first 2 years, it doesn't matter which curriculum you're in. The only difference for you is going to be math. The people in the Bachelor of Science, because it is a BS degree and prepares people to go on to advanced education and move into research in the field, has a considerably greater amount of science than the straight information technology and management program. But for the most part, in the first year, except for that math class, you're going to be in the same courses, okay? We start out with everybody learning about hardware and operating systems. We have a course that's written to a established industry standard called the A+ standard. A+ is a certification exam given by CompTIA, which actually stands for the Computer Trade Industry Association. A lot of people don't know that. And we teach to the CompTIA standard for people for our introductory course. If you can pass that exam, you have a job at Best Buy, right? Because Best Buy has the Geek Squad. That's the qualification to be on the Geek Squad, is to be to hold an A+ certification. But we try to get everybody there early in our program, so that's the level of knowledge that they have just as a foundation. Okay, people will also in the first 2 years take three programming courses. Okay, sequential. 2 of them are parallel, so you can do them in either order, and then the third one follows, having completed the first 2. Take 2 courses in web development and user interface design, take a course in database, a course in networking, a course in the Linux operating system, which is important for a lot of things professionally in our field. Everybody will take a course in, trying to make sure I don't forget anything, program management, project management, because project management are methodologies that are applied to almost everything done in the IT world. We build anything that's new as a project, right? So you have a project manager. So we find that people want to hire folks who have project management skills. And so that's important to us that we cover that as well. We designed our program based on all the best information that was available to us in 2002. In about 2005, a group of people got together and decided that they wanted to create a model curriculum for the field of information technology. And I'm now very involved in that same group of people, but I didn't come into involvement later. In 2008, they published the first version of the model curriculum for information technology. In order for our program to be fully compliant with that, we had to add 1 course. So I felt like we had done a pretty decent job of ensuring that we had done had assembled a curriculum that was going to teach people what they really need to know in the field. And a lot of experts got together and created this, and they all agreed with me. That's the way I looked at it anyway. They all agreed with us. We had hit the nail on the head and created a good curriculum. And we are, in fact, accredited, which means we have an outside agency, ABET, that does engineering, computer science, and information technology, and cybersecurity accreditation. They come in, they look at our program, and they say, yes, you have a sound program, and you are accredited. So we are one of only 40 programs in the United States that are accredited in IT. Our degree in applied cybersecurity and information technology will actually become accredited in both cybersecurity and information technology, because it covers everything that is required in both of those disciplines for accreditation. I happen to know a lot about the accreditation process because I'm a commissioner for ABET, which is the agency that does the accreditation. I'm on the Computing Accreditation Commission, and we vote on whether programs become accredited or not. So I think you'll find that our program is hands-on. You'll find that our program has faculty members that are experienced in the field. One of our expectations for hiring faculty, because we are an applied discipline, is that faculty members typically will come in with 3 to 5 years minimum of industry experience. So you aren't going to have someone standing up in front of a classroom telling you how to do something that hasn't done it themselves. And that's not necessarily the true for a lot of academic disciplines. But because we are such an applied discipline, we felt it was very important, and it applies all the way through the chair of our department, who worked for several years in industry before he moved back into academia. And so we have that background in everyone who teaches in our program. We have a lot of faculty members who are working professionals in the field of IT. One of our courses this fall is a course in client-side web development, and is being taught by the lead web developer for the university. So his everyday job is to build out web infrastructure, and he's teaching the class for our students. So that's kind of who we are. and what we do. I was going to share some resources with you that
We have a quick question. Is it okay if I ask that?
yeah, oh, I see it here. Yeah, some examples of hands-on projects or labs in class. Sure, you're going to do labs in network design. You're going to do labs in, for example, in the Linux class. You do pretty much everything involved in the Linux operating system. You install the operating system, you configure the system, you mount drives, you create virtual drives, you mount the virtual drives, you create new users in the system. So you really learn a lot of the nuts and bolts of administering the system. That's a good, I teach that class, so that's one I can particularly speak to. Ultimately, the whole curriculum leads to our senior capstone class, which is called system integration. And in system integration, we divide the class into teams, and each team designs and constructs an information system, both hardware and software, and they write the code that underlies the information system as well. So it's hardware, software, integration across the entire panoply of what constitutes an information system. And in my other class, like I said, in one of my classes, we actually have the tech class broken down into teams, and they each redesign an information system for a small business, and every team presents their results and are graded on how how valid their system design is. In the database class, you're going to construct databases, and you're going to do a lot of pieces of databases. In programming classes, you're in our program, which is different from computer science, you are going to write business applications. In some instances, you may just be given a business problem to solve, and it's up to you to determine what the needs are and what needs to be included in a program that will serve the needs of that business to meet the particular need that they have identified. So these are the kinds of projects that we do in class. We do all kinds of projects in cybersecurity classes. When you do project management, you actually construct an entire project. Okay, and it's as far as managing the project, that's what the class is all about. So the project that you're managing is a little less important than the actual process there, but we make sure everybody gets to go through that process. I teach cybersecurity management. In my cybersecurity management class this term, every member of the class is on a team that is writing, because it's a management class, they're writing policy, but they're writing an actual security policy for either a bank with all the information necessary to write the policy for that bank, or for a university. And it's up to them which they want to do, and they have to take all the background information and come up with a policy. So those are the kind of things that we do that are hands-on. In our introductory hardware and operating system class, you will build a computer. You will disassemble a notebook computer. You'll probably disassemble a phone as well. So you become familiar with the process for that and all the pieces, parts. So there's some really good, solid hands-on labs. Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions before I go on? Okay. Well, I'm going to share a screen with you, and I'm sending you the link through the chat here. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. So I am sending you this link. This is our student resources page. And I was frantically trying to update a little bit of it because I saw something on there that was out of date. But but this has both graduate and undergraduate student information, but it has a lot of student information on the page. It's actually part of our blog where we have a lot of new things going on in the department on a regular basis. So if I switch to home, let's see. It says I'm sharing the screen, but it doesn't seem to. Let me see. Here we go. So this is our blog, and we have all kinds of news that we post up there. There was an announcement of the Department of Defense Cyber Scholarship, and we just had a student who was awarded a Department of Defense Cyber Scholarship that'll fund the rest of his education here at Illinois Tech and pay him $25,000 a year stipend on top of paying for all his books and tuition. So it's a kind of a nice scholarship. But our student resource page has several different documents that are of interest. There is the undergraduate student information publication. We publish this publication every term, and if you want to look at that, it'll tell you a lot of questions. It'll answer a lot of questions you might have about our department that you didn't know you had. That's kind of the purpose of it. It's intended to answer student questions in advance. If you want to know what is taught in all of our courses, we actually have a copy of a syllabus for every class that is offered in our program. And I'm going to switch to these in a minute. I'm just opening them up in new tabs. And we also have a very extensive page that talks about all the job roles that are possible for people who are graduates of our program. So let me switch to each one of these as they load. This is our student information publication, and we publish this every fall. So we do it once a year, and it has, like I say, quite a table of contents here. It's 27 pages. One of the things that's of a lot of interest to people is it does have some key information, including we require every student in our curriculum to have a notebook computer for use in the program that meets our requirements. And so the actual standard for the notebook computer is it has the notebook computer specifications that very specifically let people know what they need to have. It also has, and this is where I was heading originally when I stopped for that, it also has a photo directory of our entire faculty with a picture and how to contact every member of our faculty. Some members of our faculty, just have an email address. Some people have an email address and a phone. Some people have an email address, and full-time faculty have an office on the campus too. So they have an email address and an office and a phone number. And some of us have offices on 2 campuses, so it'll list us both. But it's kind of nice to be able to, know who people are before you actually end up in their class. And so that's that particular publication. Our departmental syllabi, we have a syllabus, a brief, no more than 2-page syllabus that goes into considerable more detail about every class we offer in our undergraduate program. So I was talking about my class, Introduction to Information Technology as a Profession. I can actually open that up, and it will then tell you exactly what we do in the class. And so you can go ahead and look through those, and you can see the actual, more than just a course description. You can see the syllabus for the class. That'll tell you what you're going to do in that class. That page is loading. And then we have this Information Technology Career Options page, which goes through each of our areas. So we have System and Network Administration, Internet and Web Development, Application Development, Cybersecurity, and possible job outcomes for all graduates, regardless of any area you might do a specialization. Some of these, I wish I had them for all of them. Some of these have pop-up windows. So when you move over them, so like here, cybersecurity target developer has a pop-up window that describes what that job role does, and it gives you a link for more information about that particular job role. And so I'm trying to come up with the funds to pay a student worker to go in and do all of these. So so they'll be available for every one of them. But like data security analyst, that one works. But it does have quite an extensive list of job titles, and you certainly could research those job titles yourself. And there is also a PDF version of that page if you wanted to download that list. And the same thing applies for the syllabus. If you wanted to download all of them in one PDF file, you can do that, or you can just go look at the syllabus. And so like here's my class syllabus, and it talks about the course student outcomes, and it talks about the topics that we cover in the class. There's all the topics to be covered, course outcomes, student outcomes. So there's considerably more detail about what you might actually be able to expect in any given class, apart from the basic course description, which is all that we have in our bulletin. So there's a lot of resources on this page. I realized I didn't have one updated on the page, and that's my fault. I should have done that. I'm going to go into my page so I can get it.
While you're looking that up, we had a quick question from a student that said, is this major the same as information systems?
This is not. Information systems is a computer science major. And again, principally focuses on programming. It just is less mathematically intensive than other things in computer science. One of the things that we provide, so if you're looking at computer information systems, you really should look carefully at what's involved in that major and then what's involved in information technology. One of the things that we find is a lot of people don't understand the difference between them, and they where they maybe really wanted to be was information technology, and they end up in computer information systems, and they're going, why am I taking calculus for something? And I don't know the answer to that myself, that's a significant difference between those, and the fact that they don't have network, they don't have they have networking, but it's not hands-on applied networking. They don't have hardware and operating systems applied. They don't have the actual learning a new operating system as we do in our Linux class. So there's a lot of pieces that we have in our program that a lot of people would expect to be part of an information systems curriculum that aren't necessarily there. One of the other things that we do for students every semester for our undergraduates is we provide everybody with notes for advising before they register for their classes. Students all come meet with their advisors, and I'm one of the advisors. I advise actually all the students who come in as first-year students. And so you would meet with me twice a year, and we'd talk about how you're doing so far. We'd look at what you need to do in the next semester to properly progress towards graduation. And we provide these notes with course suggestions for people. So we have here, math for ITM undergraduates, math for applied cybersecurity and information technology undergraduates, first year advising, second year advising, third year advising. We talk about some electives that people might prefer to take, and then we try to give everybody, so they don't have to dig around to look up all the possible courses they might be taking for the semester. We give people a pretty comprehensive list of all of the courses that would fulfill all of their degree requirements for the upcoming semester. And so we have this list of courses. So that's a resource we make available to students every semester. And you can get to all that through this page. So that's kind of the basics about our program. Are there questions I can answer for people? I would hope that you might have some, because that's part of the reason you're here, right? It's our opportunity for you to tell us what you need to know, and we'll try to make sure we tell you what you need to know uh, before you make a decision. I will point out that while we're thinking, you guys are thinking about asking questions. We are the only program in the state of Illinois that is accredited in information technology, and one of only 40 in the United States. So we know for a fact that there are about 350 information technology programs across the United States in various colleges and universities, and of those, only 40 are accredited. And so we think that's significant. And we believe that, well, I can tell you from personal knowledge that I am aware of literally only one program that has a broader set of required coursework than we do. And I know the chair of that program very well, and it's the only one, and that happens to be Brigham Young University in Utah. But the other degree program, the Bachelor of Science in Applied Cybersecurity and Information Technology, you will not find a degree to parallel that degree anywhere. There is no degree in existence that is as completely comprehensive in giving you foundational knowledge in information technology and moving into a very complete coverage of cybersecurity in a single degree program. And I do know that because I've been out as a program evaluator for ABET. I'm not a program evaluator now, I'm a team chair, but as a program evaluator, I've been out evaluating cybersecurity programs. And I can tell you that they just don't stack up to the completeness of our program. I believe, honestly, sincerely, that through the efforts of all of our faculty, that we have created a cybersecurity program that is the best there is. I don't believe there's a better undergraduate cybersecurity program anywhere. I sincerely believe that. Okay, I see some questions. Can we talk a little bit about potential internships as students in your department or for the school? Sure, let me tackle that. And then I got programming languages, good, average class size. Okay, I'll tackle each one of those. Potential internships, there's a whole range because, of course, cybersecurity or information technology and cybersecurity as fields are much broader fields. So as we put it in one of our things, everybody needs an IT person, right? So there, it doesn't matter what kind of business it is, there are opportunities for people to do information technology internships and cybersecurity internships in some pretty disparate businesses. One of our students last summer did a cybersecurity internship at Shure. Shure is the SHURE. They're the company that makes most of the microphones that people use in the United States. All the professional microphones you see people using on stage, about an 80–90% likelihood that that's a Shure microphone. That's what they do. But of course, like any business, they have to have IT and they have to have cybersecurity. So they have internships, and we have students interning there. For students who are in our cybersecurity curriculum, our web development curriculum, and our application development curriculum, which does mean you get to program, but you're doing it differently than folks in CS would be. Those folks, a lot of those folks have interned at JP Morgan Chase and Goldman Sachs. You may recognize those names. They're two of the largest merchant banks in the world. And historically, they've hired a very large number of our graduates into programs at those organizations. We've really recently cultivated a great relationship with Motorola Solutions. Motorola as a company got split into two companies. Motorola, I forget what they call it. There's the cell phone company Motorola, but Motorola Solutions does all the radio equipment for police and fire and government. And we have a lot of internships there. We have internships at Accenture. We have internships at any number of industrial companies, Granger. So there's all kinds of companies that come to us with IT internship roles, and we place students there. And we have a really good track record of having students intern and then be hired by the companies that they have interned for. One of my cybersecurity students, actually our student who's going to be our commencement speaker this year, just got hired by Deloitte, and she did an internship at Deloitte, and they liked her in her internship and said, we want you to come work for us when you're done. And so if you're not familiar with Deloitte, Deloitte is one of the major, there's big four accounting firms, Deloitte, Ernst & Young or EY, KPMG, and PricewaterhouseCooper or PwC. So EY, PwC, Deloitte, Deloitte, and KPMG. They both have, all four of those have enormous cybersecurity operations because they provide cybersecurity consulting and audits for companies literally all over the world. And so she's very pleased that she's going to be working at Deloitte come this summer when she completes her degree. So, and all of that was due to internships. We have the opportunity for students to intern with the federal government. Federal government pays interns really well. They might not pay quite as well at the start, but you also get a security clearance, which could be a lot of value to you in the future. And so that's one of the reasons some people like to go work for the federal government for a while. If you're a US citizen, you can get scholarships like one of our students just did. He got the Department of Defense Cybersecurity Scholarship, which, as I said, is going to pay for his entire last 2 years of his program and pay him $25,000 a year stipend and have him work for 2 months over the summer as an intern at a Department of Defense facility. Happens to be the Navy Cyber Warfare Center. That's where he's working in the summer. Sounds pretty awesome to me. I'm retired from the Navy myself, and I would love to work at the Navy Cyber Warfare Center. So he gets to go do that over the summer before he graduates and starts working there permanently. What programming languages would I'm sorry, did that sufficiently answer that question about internships? It can be anywhere, and we get lots of them. Our students do very, very well at landing internships and at landing jobs out of those internships. Our job placement rate currently for graduates of our program is 93%. That means that, I forget the time frame, within 6 months, I believe, of graduation, 93% of our students are either working or are in an advanced degree program. So what programming languages would we use? Well, we do change that from time to time. And in fact, 2 years ago, we changed one of our programming courses from C++ to Python, because Python is considerably more common in considerably broader use these days. So right now, everyone coming in, the first two programming languages you'll learn will be Python and Java. And then everyone takes an intermediate Java course. People also have the opportunity to learn R, which is used for statistical analysis. And actually, many of our students actually learn R in their math class. But it's certainly a useful language for professionals in our field. Everybody learns JavaScript, which, despite having the word Java in it, is not actually related to the programming language of Java. But JavaScript is the key programming language for web development. And everyone becomes pretty conversant in JavaScript over the course of taking 2 entire courses in web development. So we also offer other languages. This summer, we're offering a class in Go, which is a pretty well-known web development class. Sometimes in the past, we've offered classes in Ruby, and we might in the future. Yeah, so those are just some of the languages. And as we see languages that may have some traction, we may offer some special topics classes to introduce people to those languages. But we're constantly looking at what's in demand out there. And right now, that's why we're ensuring all of our students know Python and Java, because Java and Python are the top 2 at the moment. Okay. What is the average class size? The average class size varies. Let me bring up my advising notes here. If I scroll down here, if I get this page to load here, there we go. I can actually show you some of the class sizes, and you'll see they vary considerably. Some of them are constrained by lab sizes. So ITM 301, which is our introductory hardware and operating system, one section has 22 students, one has 16. Our introduction to software development, that's our introductory Java class, 20 students. Our Python class this term happens to have 40. Our introductory database class, 45 in the class. Fundamentals of web development, 30. Human-computer interaction, 30. Do I know the average number? No, but I think it's probably around 28. Some of our other classes that you see are considerably smaller enrollments. You see some single digits there for some of our electives. So web real-time communications has 8 undergraduates in it. Some classes have both undergraduates and graduate students in the same lecture section. They do different work in the class, but the lectures are in common. So my cybersecurity management class for fall, I have 8 undergrads, and I believe I have probably about, let's see, I have 8 undergraduates, and I have 34 graduate students. So that's a little bit bigger class. It'll probably end up being about 32. That's what I usually run in that class. So does that help with numbers for classes? Like I say, it will vary. I think the average typically is average wise 25 to 28 students in a class. What percent work in the tech field or their desired job? Honestly, I think for all the students who get jobs, I'm not aware of any students that aren't working in the field. No, every student that I'm aware of that has a job is working in the field. Every once in a while, we'll get somebody who maybe has a family business. We have a student coming through the program right now who is going to return to their family business, and their family business happens to be a brokerage firm. But trust me, they're going to make heavy use of their IT knowledge in their brokerage firm. We had another student who came through the program who did the pre-med minor. And the pre-med minor, even though we call it a minor, most of the minors at the university are 15 hours in a different subject area. Pre-med is 78 hours in the minor. So this student went to medical school, and he has a bachelor's degree in information technology and management. Trust me, every hospital he ever works at, they're going to make him the head of the IT committee for the hospital, because he's going to be the only doctor on staff who actually really grasps all this information technology stuff. So he's kind of in an interesting spot. I'm really looking forward to getting feedback to him after he gets through his residency and gets out into working as a physician. So we're trying to stay in touch with him because I want to know how he's using his IT as a physician. Accelerated master's options for ITM. We believe strongly in the accelerated master's program. At the level of undergraduates, that accelerated master's program historically has been called the co-terminal degree program. So you hear a lot of people refer to it that way. To be eligible to be in the co-terminal degree program in our department, you have to have a grade point average of 3.25. Some departments it's 3.0. In our department, it's 3.25. Of the eligible students in our department, in other words, if you took every student in the department who has completed 60 hours of studies and who has a 3.25 grade point average, 50% of those students are in co-terminal degree programs. So, half of our eligible students, proportionally more than any other department in the university, elect to complete their graduate degree at the same time they're completing their undergraduate degree. The way that program is structured, you actually take your graduate classes and still take undergraduate classes in your remaining semesters, and you actually receive both degrees on the same day. In fact, it's set up that way, so you have to complete both degrees at the same time, and you receive your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. One of my co-terminal students from 3 years ago, I was talking about our relationship with Motorola Solutions. She was hired at Motorola Solutions into a particular job role that was much greater than anything she expected coming out of our program. She did a master's in information technology and management, but specialized in cybersecurity. She got hired into a cybersecurity job role. And I asked her, so are they paying you decently? And she looks at me and goes, Ray, they're paying me $30,000 a year more than I asked for. I'm like, oh, that sounds pretty good. Since she's kind of an outlier, okay, because let's face it, she is phenomenally capable and has proven this, and has been promoted in the 3 years she's been at Motorola Solutions. She's been promoted 3 times, to the point where the HR department at Motorola Solutions had an investigation to determine why she was getting promoted faster than the standards for the company allow. And basically her bosses told the human resources department, just go away. We know that she needs to be where she is. She has several of our other graduates working for her there now, which is a very nice situation for both them and for us and for her also, because when she gets our students, she knows what they can do, and that's really useful. Okay, when she gets our graduates, she fully knows what they're able to do. When do we choose a specialization for our major, and are we required to? We have specializations available. They are not required. So you choose them when you start taking your electives, which is about the beginning of your 3rd year. Around the end, maybe you might take your first electives at the end of your 2nd year, but typically the beginning of your 3rd year, you start taking the electives in the program. The specializations in our program, which only apply to the Bachelor of Information Technology and Management. There aren't any in cybersecurity, that's the specialization. But we do have specializations in cybersecurity, in application development, web development, management and entrepreneurship, specialization in database, specialization in system administration. Those are defined by 4 courses out of your 6 electives. And we have a fair number of students who look at some of the overlap of courses within the specializations, and they realize that they can complete 2 specializations in their 6 electives, and they will do that. Only one can go on your transcript. So when they do 2 specializations, we write them a letter that says they've completed 2 specializations. A minor is an interesting thing. Again, in the Bachelor of Science in Applied Cybersecurity and Information Technology, there is not a minor because there's just not time for it. That degree is packed. Okay, that degree literally has 2 electives and 2 free electives in the program, 2 major electives and 2 free electives. In our Bachelor of Information Technology and Management, we do require every student to complete a minor. How long does it take to finish a minor and a major together? Well, if you're really focused, you can do it in 4 years. Most students take typically 4.5, I would say, probably far more common. To do it in 4 years, and we have a model curriculum available in our university bulletin, and there are links to that also, by the way, in that link that I gave you. You can look in the university bulletin and see the model curriculum, and it does require 3 semesters of 6 classes, 18 hours. That's really tough to do an 18-hour semester, but that is what you have to do to graduate in 4 years, or you have to do some summer courses. So I would say that probably most of our students graduate in 4.5 years, 4 years plus 1 semester. That's why I think we probably have an unusually high number of fall graduates in our program, because we have a lot of students who just don't want to do 18-hour semesters, and they end up being as 1 semester longer. Students do minors in that degree, and you can minor in anything. I've had students minor in music. I've had students minor in philosophy. And you go, how can you minor in music at Illinois Tech? Well, we actually have another college on our campus, Vandercook Conservatory of Music, which is the only music conservatory in the United States that is music education only. They have no performance majors, only music education majors, but they allow our students to minor in music. I had one student who wanted to minor in music. I asked him what he played. He said string bass. And I said, oh my God, they're going to be so happy to see you in the orchestra at Vandercook, because there's never enough bass players. And so he did. He played in the orchestra for the rest of the time he was here. He played in the orchestra at Vandercook. So you can minor in philosophy. Many of our students minor in computer science, so they can get a little bit different perspective on coding than they get from our program. And for students who particularly want to be web developers or application developers, it's very appealing to do those computer science minors. Our most popular minor, interestingly enough, is psychology. We have more students doing psychology than any other minor by a far piece. And I'm not quite sure what the reasoning behind that is, but very, very large number of students. And let me reiterate, it is entirely possible for you to complete our degree in 4 years. You have to be determined that that's something you want to do. It's not my job as your advisor to get you out of the program in 4 years, unless you specifically tell me that's your desire. And then we can advise you on that basis, okay? Occasionally I get parents that are very angry with me because their children are not graduating in 4 years. And I'm like, hey, they didn't tell me they needed to graduate in 4 years. I would ask them each semester, how many classes do you want to take next term? And they go, I think I'll do 15 hours, 5 classes. And so that's what we would advise them for. But you can't graduate in 4 years unless you do those 18-hour semesters. So, that I'm going to caution every first year student from here on out, after having some interesting conversations with parents, that if your parents expect you to graduate in 4 years, you darn well better tell me, and then we'll advise you to make that happen. Yeah, that's kind of how long it takes. Other questions? You guys had some good questions, and I really appreciate that. Makes my job easier to talk to you if you have good questions. Anything else? Well, let me think about wrapping up here for Gavin, and getting it turned back over to him. But I thank you very much for coming. I hope you've learned a lot. Oh, here's a last question. Good. Is there more online or in-person learning now with COVID? The last 3 semesters we have been principally learning online. In the spring of last year, we actually literally moved all of our courses to online and had no one on campus. In the fall, we had very limited numbers on campus. I had a class. One big class we have is our introduction to the profession class. I had 60 students, and I had 5 students who would come to class in person, and everybody else did it online. We are moving back in the fall to live classes, assuming that conditions will permit it. And so right now, most of my students, I have 2 classes that I'm teaching this term because I'm also the associate chair, so I don't teach a lot of classes. But in my 2 classes, I have 1 student who comes to class, and everybody else is doing it online. And the class only meets live 1 out of 2 days a week. Excuse me. And the other day, everybody's online for that class. And that seems to have worked. Everybody seems to be pretty pleased with that at the moment. But I expect that in the fall, classes will be again live on campus. And I have a lot of faculty members who are, frankly, they're eager to return to teaching a class. It's a different experience. My class that I teach is just like you right now. The only face I see is my own, because all I see for the rest of you is your name, because none of you have your cameras turned on. And I'm not one of those faculty members who says, oh, you have to turn your camera on. Um, I understand that. So I don't necessarily do that, but I don't see any of you. I was thinking about, before we finished up here, saying, hey, could you guys all turn your camera on once so I could at least all see what you look like before we say goodbye? But it's up to you. I'm not going to do that. But yeah, that's the answer to that. Other than that, like I said, I hope we answered questions for you, and I hope that I was a little bit encouraging about why you ought to be thinking about doing information technology and management, or applied cybersecurity and information technology at Illinois Tech. I think we have a great program. I think you're going to learn a lot. I think you're going to be real happy with your job when you're done. One of the great things about the field of IT is you don't do the same thing every day, which is a much better job. I've been very lucky. I've never had a job in my life where I did exactly the same thing every day. Every day is a little bit different, and that makes life considerably more fun.